Hey, today I want to review a book by Brian Tracy, No Excuses. To be honest, when I started this book, I thought I will read that book very, very fast and I will forget about it. I thought it would be a lot of value, but I thought it would finish very fast. But if I start reading, I realized there's so much wisdom in it. I said I would love to share that wisdom with you as well. So I just started reading that book and I finished introduction. Even introduction is such a great wisdom place that I decided to share introduction today, and after that I will share part one, part two, and part three. But let's get started from introduction, and like always, I will review a quote what Brian Tracy said, and after that I will give my reflections on that. But before we get started, we decide that we need to take a little vacation to a wonderful fantasy place called Someday Isle. We say that someday I will read a book, someday I will lose weight, someday I will start a business. There's a lot of things that we say that we'll do someday. I think that's when we ask, how often do we say someday? Now, and we need to understand that someday could be in a lot of different aspects. It might be that you are successful financially, but you're not successful in relationships, maybe in your health, maybe in other areas. So that means that you might be successful in one area of life, but you say someday to another thing. Now, the most important part to understand if actually the one that you focus on are the most important priority in your life. Because a lot of times we think that someday I'll is a regret when we're actually focusing on something that is not our main priority in the long run. So someday I'll, of course, is being able to really remove someday I'll altogether and being able to focus on priorities and say that I will not do someday, I will do only if I need to do. I think that sometimes we need to be able to understand, okay, if it's someday, that means that we take away off of the list and not think about it at all. Because if we keep that thing that you want to do in a someday I'll, it might be that that's just really you will never be able to have confidence to start. And who are they surrounded by on someday I'll? Other people on someday I'll. And what is the chief topic of conversation on someday I'll? Excuses. They all sit around and swap excuses for being on the island. That means when we have a someday I'll and when we really don't want to achieve things, a lot of times we want to find excuses. And we want to share those excuses and want to be validated for those excuses. That means that we go around and find people who understand that oh yeah, like this is totally fine. You will do that. Yeah, I believe you. But achievers don't want to say that, oh, like this is my excuse and other people, yeah, that's I have this as excuse as well. So that means that we need to understand that if it's important enough, there's no excuses. No justifications, just ownership and make things happen. It's your choice, excuse or a reason. Because I love it saying that there could be 1,000 excuses, but you need only one reason to change. Only one reason. The first rule of success is simple. Vote yourself off the island. Vote yourself off the island. That means that, again, you need to choose. As I said, you can be thousands of excuses, even more, millions, infinite number. But you just need one reason to vote yourself out of the island. Really take yourself seriously. I'm not saying someday, but say today. And probably you've heard that. There is saying that I will do it one day. One day I will do it. But the most important part when we switch those words and they say day one, and that's where how you vote yourself out of the island. Losers make excuses. Winners make progress. Now, how can you tell if your favorite excuse is valid or not? It's simple. Look around and ask, is there anyone else who has my same excuse, who is successful anyway? So powerful. That means look around and really honestly look around. Is other people who have been even in the worst situation than you and they still made things happen? In fitness, somebody's like, oh, I have my shoulder is hurting, that's why I gained my weight. Look, some people are in wheelchair and they still are able to lose weight. I think that sometimes we just put ourselves too easily. We're too kind to ourselves. Now, of course, too kind to ourselves. We need to be kind and compassionate, but at the same time, we need to be real with ourselves. That you just made an excuse. You made an excuse not to take action. And you need to grow out of it. I discovered that you can achieve almost any goal you set for yourself if you have this discipline to pay the price, to do what you need to do, and to never give up. I truly believe that. That's very powerful. I truly believe that every single person is able to do whatever they want to do, as long as they're willing to pay the price. Some price could be massive, extraordinary, and you might not want to pay the price, and that's totally fine. You just say that I don't want to pay the price, and I will not achieve it, and I will not do someday, I will never do it, because I'm not willing to pay the price, and that's totally fine. I think sometimes when you really say that I'm not willing to pay the price, it gives you a chance to really look into what you would do instead. Rather than pursuing something that you never do, actually start pursuing something that you would do. Perhaps the most important insight of all with regards to success is that to achieve greatly, you must become a different person. Exactly. I think that there's a saying that if your vision doesn't scare you, maybe your vision is too small. Because if you're able to achieve your vision with who you are right now, that means that it's just not a vision, it's just a random thing that you're able to do every single day. So it means if you want to achieve a bigger goal, if you want to achieve the vision, if you want to become the different person, you need to be able to be different. And of course, that means that we need to grow and improve. Self-discipline is the ability to do what you should do, when you should do it, whether you feel like it or not. Albert Hubbard. And Brian Tracy quoted Albert Hubbard because that's one of the best definitions of self-discipline. And I will repeat it one more time. Self-discipline is the ability to do what you should do, when you should do it, whether you feel like it or not. That's a beautiful thing. Because I think that sometimes we want to do things on our terms. Like I will do it when I will feel like doing it. Sometimes we need to do things when things need to be done, not when you feel to do it. And that's true self-discipline, being able to do the right thing at the right time. And be able to question that. How often do you do the right thing at the right time? Rather than waiting until you feel like doing it. The most successful people are long-term thinkers. They look into the future as far as they can determine the kind of person or people they want to become and the goals they want to achieve. Then they come back to the present and determine the things that they will have to do or not to do to achieve their desired futures. That means the best, most successful people always are long-term thinkers. They always look into what kind of things they want to achieve. And as he said, look as far as you can. What kind of person you want to become and what kind of vision you want to become. And when you know that, you come to present and say, what do I need to do today? What do I need to do today to be able to achieve that vision? And what I'm not supposed to do. Because sometimes what we do is sabotaging as well. So stop doing the things that is sabotaging you and doing the things that actually helping you to achieve your goal. It's a massive lesson. Successful people make sure that everything they do in short term is consistent with where they want to end up in the long term. It's a beautiful thing. So that means that if you have no idea what your long term is, doesn't matter what you do in the short term, because everything aligns with your blurry future, blurry long term. But when you actually have a long term vision, it might be change. That's all fine. We're not rigid. But if we have that long term vision, and then we ask, okay, how my last 3 months, next 6 months, aligning with my future. And when you see that massive alignment, you start to live with fulfillment. I think a lot of times we live not in fulfillment and content because we just do not know where we're going. We just have short-term goals, and we have no idea where those short-term goals will lead us. Perhaps the most important word in long-term thinking is sacrifice. I love it. I love it. Sacrifice. That means that, again, this, are you willing to pay the price? Are you willing? And paying the price on this is a sacrifice that you need to pay. So when you have that massive goal, what are you willing to do about it? Are you willing to give up some evenings, maybe most evenings? Maybe able to give up and cut the people that are hurting you? What are you willing to give up? What kind of sacrifices are you able to make? Because a lot of times we think that there are sacrifices, but I think a lot of times there's a trade-offs that we need to make sure that we're able to achieve the vision that we want. That's a beautiful thing. What Gray found was that, Herbert Gray, that he quotes as well, what Gray found was that successful people are more concerned with pleasing results, whereas failures were more concerned about pleasing methods. So successful people looking about results. What kind of results do I need? They don't ask about how hard it will be. They ask, do I want this kind of result? Do I want this achievement? And say that, okay, so what do I need to do now? So they don't start with methods. They look into what's the goal. And then they ask, what do you need to do now? And they will do it. While people who are unsuccessful, looking, okay, what kind of pleasing method could I achieve my goal? What kind of process and systems do I like? And a lot of times the things that the process that they like, they will not allow them to achieve their goal. Even though that they might think that they will allow, they will never do. They'll never do. Maybe you'll achieve their smaller version goal, but what kind of goal you could achieve and actually pursue with all your heart? Just think what would happen if you came home after work and instead of eating healthy dinner, you ate a large piece of apple pie with ice cream. What kind of appetite for healthy, nutritious food would you have afterwards? If you eat massive meal of unhealthy fast food, what kind of appetite would you have? Of course, zero. You're already full. Exactly the same is with your ideas, with activities. So you come back home, you can choose to watch Netflix, you can choose to play games, or you can choose to listen to seminar, you can choose to develop skill sets. So if you start from dessert, like playing games, watching Netflix, you will not have enough mind space to really do education, improvement, self-growth. Maybe it will do a little bit, but it will be not as motivated as you right away after going from work, going and directly investing your time in getting out of your current situation. It might be that you love your station, maybe you want to develop. It might be that you hate your station, and that's even worse when people hate their life, hate their job, and they go into movies, go into games to hide from their life, when they could potentially do every single day, invest 1-2 hours in developing their skill set or mindset to come out of their station. And the last one that I took is every practice of self-discipline strengthens every other discipline. Unfortunately, every weakness in discipline weakens your other disciplines as well. Very powerful. And that's why I said that sometimes when your all disciplines are weak, sometimes it's very good to really start with one key discipline, one keystone habit, and have that very, very, very strong. And that's one keystone habit. Maybe reading 15 minutes a day, maybe exercising half an hour, an hour a day. So when you really are very consistent with one habit, that will like start to influence all other habits. Because if you exercise 1 hour a day, now you start eating better, now you start looking to yourself better, you become more courageous, now you start reading books, and after a while you become a whole person who's successful. So starting small is a key in discipline. At the same time, if you're very disciplined, but you give excuses and you become weak in one habit, that will start you to really show up in other habits as well. So you need to be very, very careful with discipline, because how you do one thing, that's how you do everything. And that's where it is. So, introduction, there was a lot of great wisdom, and I highly recommend you read that book. But at the same time, next review will be part 1.